let's get this wrap up started. If you guys ever wonder, okay, first let me put this down without dropping it. Anyways, if you guys ever wonder whatever happened to my closet or why my closet doesn't have a door, because that bothers me so much. My closet used to have a door. I kept like pulling on it so hard because it would never open properly. So I kept using like so much force that one day I used a little too much force and my door just gave in and fell down. Anyways, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Anna, and as you already know by the title, today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in September. I can't believe it's October, guys. I can't believe it. September has been a good reading month. I love fall reading, so I read a lot of good books. So let's just get to the stats. My original goal was 6 books, and then I made a new goal to read 10 books, and then I ended up reading 12 books. And in those 12 books, I read 3 romance, 5 fantasy, 1 science fiction, 2 mystery thriller, and 1 fiction. Starting off with the Once Upon a Broken Heart. This is the first book in the series. I just feel like whenever people gave the description, I was like, that is my cup of tea right there. And it was my cup of tea. I rated this a 4.8. We start off the story by seeing Evangeline. Evangeline is like the hopeless romantic girl. She is a big dreamer and like romanticizer of things. One day she soon realizes that the love of her life is getting married. She becomes very heartbroken. So one day she meets Jack, this Prince of Hearts. She makes a deal with him to stop the wedding of her true love, but she then finds out that like it's not what it seems. There's a lot more that goes with like the deal that she made with him. And so from there on, it's just like this really fun adventure, and it's just a really good time. This book felt so whimsical. The way that the setting is described, it's not like high fantasy, but it's very whimsical. I just wish we got to see more of it. It's not that this book felt rushed, like I just wanted a little bit more. I don't know. Just know that I really, really love this book. Then after that, I went in with a Frida McFadden book. Being a Frida McFadden fan can be a bit tricky sometimes because she has a lot of books, and so she doesn't always have like the best books, if I'm gonna be completely honest. So you kind of have to dig for gold to find the right book for you, and I've seen a lot of things on this book. So we start off the story by seeing Amy. Amy is a medical student, so she goes to this like mental health unit, but something's not quite right because a lot of sketchy things start to happen and some of the clients start to like go missing. I rated this book a 3 stars. I just think it was a bit predictable. I predicted some of the plot twists, but yeah, not bad. It was the perfect way to start off the month with like a mystery thriller, knowing that it's like spooky season and all. And then after that, I went right into the Ballad of Never After because when I finished Once Upon a Broken Heart, I didn't have this book yet. I think a few days after, I immediately ordered it off of Amazon, and then when it shipped to my house, it shipped at like nighttime. I didn't plan on starting it at night, but I'm pretty sure soon after I hopped right into this book because I was not going to be able to wait any longer. That is just how much I love this series. The ending kind of leaves off on a cliffhanger, so we continue on with that cliffhanger in this book, and we just get a bunch of like answers. The way that the first book ended off, it really affects the characters in this one. I gave a 5 stars. This one felt more adventurous, and also that ending was actually crazy. I feel like it literally happened in the blink of an eye. I did not see that coming at all. So the ending literally happened all at once, and I was like, wait, what did I just read? What just happened? Love this book. And I love Evangeline and I love Jax. Jax is definitely one of my favorite book boyfriends. And then Evangeline, she actually felt like such a relatable character, and I loved her for that. I'm also obsessed with the spine. This is definitely my favorite color. It's just like very pretty purple. After finishing that book, I was still in a fantasy mood, so I went in with Phantasma. This was on my August TBR that I just never got to, and I was just like, enough is enough. I'm reading this book, and so I did. When I first started the book, it was a bit of a shocker because the font is smaller than the Broken Heart trilogy. When I first started reading it, I was a little bit in a slump, but when I started to get more invested in the story, I didn't even like realize that the font font was a little bit smaller. I gave this a 4 stars, I believe. We start off by seeing Ophelia, the female main character. Her mom has passed away, so her and her sister are left with family business and like the house and all that stuff. Ophelia, being the older sister, she feels that she has such a big responsibility and like so much pressure and weight on her back. Like, she's left with the family debt. She's left with most of the responsibilities that her family kind of had. So she feels really pressured to just like do what she believes her mom expected her to do. Soon after, we see that she has an encounter with like this ghost dude in a dark alleyway, and it's just super sketchy, and she's like, who is this dude? That's that. But in their world, they have like this game where everyone knows it's super risky, but they also know that it is for like a really big prize. Not many people enter the games, so the ones who do are supposedly like really brave. Ophelia's sister goes missing, and she finds out that her sister could possibly enter the games. That kind of forces Ophelia to enter these games to find her sister. But when she starts the game, we find out the sketchy man from the alleys is in the games, and like he tries to help her with the games. And yeah, so we just follow Ophelia's whole journey like throughout the games and every level. The trials are super dangerous, like you could literally die at any moment, and I absolutely love it. The games were my favorite part. There's also like a heavy plot of romance in this. Whenever the romance came up, I was like giggling, kicking my feet, but when I was reading about the games, I just felt like I enjoyed that so much more because it was so fun. I love the aesthetic of this book. It's like a gothic Victorian aesthetic. There are also some plot twists towards the end. I did guess it right away, but it was still fun to read about. When I first started reading this book, I thought that it was like a duology, and it is a duology. I don't know if there are more books to come, but there are currently 2 books. It's an interconnected duology, so this is standalone. But the second book, I'm pretty sure almost the same thing. It's just not part of the same storyline. I gave this a 4 stars, and I literally loved it so much. I filmed my reaction in a past reading vlog, so if you haven't checked that out, you definitely should. Right after I read The Love Hypothesis on my Kindle, I started reading this book in August, and I just never finished it, so I decided to pick it back up. We start off the story by seeing Olive. She is a graduate student. You see this kind of flashback encounter with Olive and Adam. Olive is having this moment where she's crying about something, and then Adam, he's asking her these questions, and they're just like having this conversation. It's years later, and we see that she kind of accidentally kisses her professor, literally out of nowhere. Like, she didn't even think twice about it because she wants her friend to see that she is with someone. And then Olive forms this plan to start fake dating, but then obviously we already know the fake dating forms into more, and like you guys know what the general idea is. There is like a third act breakup, and I'm such a hater of third act breakups, but I understand why they're added and sometimes needed. They're not always needed. I don't think they're always needed, but like I understand why romance authors add them. There is a third act breakup, and then like the ending was really cute. I really liked the epilogue. It was so cute. And I also really love like the found family in this. That's something I noticed with Ali Hazelwood. She has a really good found family, and also like of course her quirkiness in the books. That's a big reason of why I love her writing, is just like her personal quirky style. After that, I read Killer Instinct. This is the second book in the Natural series. The Natural series is, everyone says this, but it's literally just Criminal Minds, but for teenagers, and they have these like abilities that they can just do really well. Like, for example, one girl is literally like a lie detector. She can tell if you're lying. And then another girl is like a human calculator. She can solve the most complicated problems in her head. Someone else can read your emotions really well. And so yeah, it's that type of thing. In this book, we see the group going on another case on this person that's kind of like a wannabe killer. So along the way, we just see the group forming an even stronger connection, and also like kind of like complicated relationships are happening. Some parts of the book I was a bit bored, but then other parts I was really intrigued, and it was so-so. It was okay, but I still enjoyed it. I gave this a 3 stars. I don't love the series, but I definitely do like it. Like, it's a fun, quick YA mystery thriller read, and I definitely want to continue with the series. I have 2 more books left, and then after that, I might read The Inheritance Game because I have not read that yet. I went in with the third and the final book in the Broken Heart trilogy. This whole entire month has just been surrounded with the series, and now it's like over. But anyways, how the last book ended off, which was crazy, we see a lot more of that in this book. This was such a good finale, and the ending, I love the ending for what it is, but I wish there was more. And all the questions that we were wondering about in the first two books were answered in this book. My rating for this was a 5 stars, of course. After that, I went in with my second Hallie Aizlowood book, Love Theoretically. I gave this a 5 stars. After reading The Love Hypothesis and then going into this book, I really realized that she's like really improved with her writing. As much as I love Love Hypothesis, I felt much more connected to this relationship and these characters and the topics that were talked about. Elsie has a dream of becoming a physicist, but she's also really struggling in life, especially financially. So she has a bunch of jobs, and she has this one job where she fake dates, and that really ties in with like the issues that are talked about in this book. Like Elsie has this really big problem with people pleasing, so ironically she does really well with her fake dating because she's like such a people pleaser. But one day she finds out that the person that she's fake dating is actually brothers with her enemy, the person that she really does not like, who is Jack. She sees Jack as this cold-hearted guy that doesn't really care for like other people's feelings. She has this animosity towards him because of something he did to her boss, and so she doesn't like him. And yeah, I literally love them so much. And the way that Jax could just like read her like a book, I was jaw dropped. And then I also like that we not only got to see Elsie's struggles, but we also got to see a bit of Jack's struggles too, because most of the book you would think that Jack is like this guy who kind of has it all put together, but towards the end we saw a bit of his flaws. And I love when romance books do that because sometimes they create this super high expectations for people. And yes, I know that's like most romance books, but I also like when they add a bit of realisticness to the characters as well, because when they feel too perfect, it's like, okay, I know this is not real, but I also would like a little bit of realisticness just to feed into my delusions, you know? But yeah, this book was just such a fun book to read, and it definitely is my favorite Hallie Aizlowood book so far, and I appreciate her for like making these characters and really making not just the romance a big focus, but also like their job and aspirations a huge focus in the books. So yeah. Next, I read the Prison Healer trilogy. Sorry, I have to sit like this. It kind of hurts to say this, but I did not really like this book. I gave it a 3 stars, so I didn't absolutely hate it, but I still want to go into the second book with an open mind. Let me give you my actual thoughts on this one. I was really bored for most of the book. Of course, it was really disappointing because majority of the people that I've heard from say that they really love this book, and I just ended up not really liking it. And like the female main character to me was a bit mundane. Like I didn't love her. I also didn't hate her. We follow the story of this female main character. The female main character in this book has lived most of her life in a prison, and she's like the prison healer. And then one day this prisoner comes in. He's the love interest of the story, and so we see their relationship sort of forming. On the other side of the story, we see that something has happened to the queen, and so she is asked to heal the queen. At first she's really hesitant because she doesn't believe that she can heal the queen, and then we also see her going through these trials, which comes to my point where I think this book was incredibly slow. The beginning half of the book, they were talking so much about the trials to when they finally got to the point of the trials. It just felt like nothing was really happening. I also did predict the plot twist as well, and I wasn't even trying to. I think midway through the book, I just like had this idea for the plot twist. But this book wasn't all bad. There were some cute moments between the love interest and the female main character. Some of the side characters I did enjoy reading about. I'm just gonna be honest, I didn't love this book, but I still want to continue on with the second book at least. Right after I read the Man Called Ove, not Ove, Uva. There are still some parts of this book that I need to tab because I have highlighted so many. I loved it. I gave it a 4 stars, and My voice is getting weird. I was really excited to start my journey with this author. I am so excited to read his other books. I really want to read My Friends. I think that's what it's called. But it's his latest book, and I've heard so many good things on that book. When I first started this book, I didn't know how dark it was gonna be. This book is about Ove. Ove's wife has passed away, so he becomes really depressed and just really grumpy. So he does have a lot of thoughts on dying, and like he even tries to execute that, but it doesn't go as planned, which is how he meets his new neighbors. Throughout the book, we just see him forming these new connections and new unexpected relationships with these people. It becomes a very heartwarming story because at the beginning of the book, obviously it feels very sad. It does feel that way throughout the whole book. Like there are a lot of sad moments, but start to become a little bit more lighthearted. The way that Ove forms more connections with these people, he starts to become more open-minded to other people's struggles, because obviously before he was really grumpy. He didn't care for hurting other people's feelings. He just didn't really care for people. He becomes more empathetic. Second to last, I read this just recently, is another book by Ali Hazelwood, Check and Mate. All the romances that I read this month has been by this author, and this is her YA book, a YA book by Ali Hazelwood. Sign me up. I gave this a 3 stars. One thing I will say though is it actually wasn't that YA. There was a lot of language in this and like a lot of other topics mentioned in this. For the most part, 15 and up is my recommended age range for this book. So in this story, we follow Mallory. She is kind of struggling with her current life. She's really trying to provide for her family. Her mom is sick, and she also has 2 younger siblings that she needs to take care of. So we start off the story by seeing that she has a job, but then she gets dismissed from that job and she's sort of forced to look for another job. And so she starts picking up her interest from years ago because she used to be a really good chess player and she quit. One day she goes against this player and she beats him. So throughout the book we see her playing more and more chess and like going to chess tournaments and all this stuff. There are some like ups and downs with that though. We also see, of course, Mallory and Nolan. I wouldn't say that I love their relationship, but I did really love Mallory as a female main character. I also like that we did get to see Mallory and her family's struggles as well, and like a relationship with her and her family. There was like one scene with her family that I just found so wholesome and sweet. But yeah, and then the last book that I read in September, I actually finished this last night and then I went ahead and watched the movie right after. I finally read The Hunger Games. I don't know why it took me so long to start this book. I really wish that I read this like back in middle school because I just know I would have loved it. Of course, I still love it now, but like that would have just been such an experience if I read this in middle school. But anyways, this was an obvious 5 stars. I've read Sunrise on the Reaping, by the way, and that was also 5 stars. This was such an exciting read because obviously it's where everything started. It's where it all started. This book right here. I was screaming, jumping around my kitchen when I first started this book, and my mom probably thought I was crazy, but I was just so excited. Reading this book and then going back into the movie, I did wish there were some things from the book that they added. I understand why if they didn't. The movies are still amazing. I also just loved being in Katniss's head and just really seeing her thought process. I need to read Catching Fire. I'm literally so proud to say that I have finally read the first book in the Hunger Games. That is the aftermath of this video. But yeah, that's it for today's video, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you hopefully in the next one. Also, happy October, guys. Happy spooky month. I can't wait. This is gonna be such a fun month. Okay, that's it. Bye.